Hey, welcome back to the Roman Lorenzo channel, and here today, I have something that is quite different to what I would normally put on this channel. I have a movie review of Max Steel, the infamous superhero film for having 0% on Rotten Tomatoes, but I'm here today to tell you why I think it's actually good, so let's hop into it. The movie is a superhero movie that came out in the fall of 2016. The movie had made around $6 million worldwide on a $5 to $10 million budget, and had received 0% by the critics on Rotten Tomatoes. The movie was known as the worst superhero movie of all time, and now has since been forgotten. But I'm here today to give the movie the credit it deserves. The movie follows Max McGrath moving back to his childhood home in Copper Canyon, after moving plenty of times throughout his childhood, and when he gets there, he starts to emit some sort of a liquid energy. Then, later that day, he has dinner and is introduced to a man called Miles, who convinced Max's mother to come back to Copper Canyon, and during this talk, a strange entity is escaping some sort of stasis. After the talk, Miles offers Max a tour of Entech, which Max will hold on to. At school, he starts to learn that everyone there knows more about his father than he does. Then, the next day, he confronts his mother about it, and she says that he is not ready for that information. The day after this talk, Max goes on a date with Sophia, a girl who rammed him on his first day at school, and then the next day asked him on a date, and due to his inability to control his energy, he has to bail on her. He runs into the forest looking like he is about to explode, and then the entity that was in stasis comes at him. After that, he wakes up the next morning in bed with scars. And then he finds the entity that did this to him. He called himself Steel, and said that if he isn't around, Max would explode like he nearly did in the forest due to buildup in the liquid energy, or as he called it, tachyon energy. So, armed with this knowledge, he takes Steel to school with him, and on the way to school, he gets attacked by some men in black suits. And then, after Max and Steel escape, Max and Steel share a memory about what happened to Max's father, but it was in pieces. So, after school, they break into an abandoned Entech building and try to trigger another memory, which, after a superhero training montage, they manage to trigger and reveal that the Ultralinks had killed his father. Max decides to take Miles up on the tour of Entech, and whilst going there, Max and Steel get separated by the same men in black that were chasing him in the forest, and Max goes to Entech without Steel. When he is there, he asks Miles what happened with his father, to which Miles tries to change the subject, and then Max runs off, having another energy burst. Then, outside, an Ultralink forms the power of a tornado, and Max has to run away from it until Steel arrives, and they take him down. Then Max finds out that the Ultralink they just defeated looks just like Steel, so that means that Steel is an Ultralink. So Max decides to abandon Steel and go home. When he gets there, he sees the men in black that have been chasing him throughout the movie are at his house, so he presumes that those guys have kidnapped his mother and runs away to Sophia's house. When he gets there, he asks for her car, phone, and some rubber gloves, which Sophia reluctantly agrees to. Once he gets in the car, he calls Miles and asks where his mother would be, and he responds to the old Entech grounds. And so Max rushes over there to find his mother, and before he gets there, Sophia calls Max's mother asking if everything is okay with Max, to which she says yes, and we find out that Max's mother was not kidnapped, and she was in fact talking with the men in black that have been chasing Max, saying that Miles has commanded them to kill Steel. Back to Max, he sees that Steel has been kidnapped, and then Max gets the full flashback, where it is confirmed that Miles had made a deal with the Ultralinks to siphon Max's father's powers, to which Max's father overloads the system, giving him none of the power. So now Miles wants Max to give him that power, to which a fight ensues between Max and Miles, ending with Max and Steel overloading Miles' suit, and Max's mother finding that him and Steel. The next day, he goes and mends his relationship with Sophia, and Max and Steel fly away into the sunrise.
Oh yeah, that feels good.
There are a lot of things I like about this movie, one of which is the story. The main criticism for the story is the fact that the story goes too slow, and therefore makes the movie quote-unquote boring. And I disagree with that notion. In fact, I think it helps the movie to feel different to other superhero movies that came out at that time. Most superhero movies were big action blockbusters, while this one had a grounded approach to it, which I kinda like. I also like the movie's CGI. Considering the fact that the movie had an alien following Max around for half the movie, and a lot of other CGI work throughout the movie, it was a pretty impressive thing that the movie managed to have CGI that looks this good. It also had an amazing suit. They took parts from the 2013 TV show suit, mixed it up with a bigger visor and more black all around, and they made the Max Steel movie suit. And it looks really good. And finally, I like the final battle. How the movie has a pretty good fight scene that still maintains the grounded approach instead of making it bigger in scale than the actual movie has been so far. It helps keep that small scale movie feeling that I like it for. You may know by now, I like this movie, but there is no perfect movie, so I do have some criticism for it. One of which is the change of tone all throughout the movie. In the beginning of the movie, the tone is somewhat serious. It has a few jokes that they add in, but the main plot is serious. But when they introduce Steel into the film, the movie turns somewhat comedic, with a lot of jokes coming from Steel. And when Max and Steel get separated, the movie goes back into the serious tone. But, at the very least, when Max and Steel unite for the final battle, it does follow a more serious tone. Personally, I just wish that the movie's tone would be a bit more consistent and not all over the place. Another thing I don't like about this movie is the way they introduce Miles as the villain. The second that Max and Miles meet, you can tell that he's going to be the villain. I just wish that the film writers had caught on to this and made him a bit more believable as an ally instead of an enemy. And finally, I don't like how the movie brushes off what Max's powers are. When Max asks Steel what his powers are, Steel just says,
Pass.
instead of explaining what they are. I just wish that the filmmakers had taken a little bit more time to explain what his powers are. I like the movie, but I do understand that it is flawed. But I am not the only one that saw this movie for something special. In fact, there was a petition of 2,354 people who wanted to see this movie get a sequel, but sadly, that never got farther than a petition. But personally, I am just glad that this movie got made in the first place. Thanks for sticking around to the end of the video. This video took a long time to make, so subscribing would be highly appreciated. Special thanks to Mr. Bones for editing this video, and if you'd like to see more movie reviews like this, let me know in the comments, and I guess that's all I've got. Bye.